Welcome everybody to 2023. It's Erica.
And Jacob.
And welcome back to our channel. Now, we came up with some really great suggestions to make your 2023 financial future that much better. And Jacob found this really cool quote by Winston Churchill, which said, and you can read it.
He who fails to plan, plans to fail.
That's right. He who fails to plan is planning to fail. And that's why we wanted to create this video, because we want you to start planning for your financial future. Obviously, Jacob hears about this stuff all the time because I'm talking about it constantly with my borrowers and my people that are planning to buy a house. And I do a lot of planning, right? There's people that I talk to every single day that have not yet bought a home, but they are planning on it. And so it's one of my favorite people because I'm a planner myself. So the very first thing of the 15 things that we have come up with to help you either save money or plan for your financial future is a very, very basic one. And that is
budget.
A budget. Get yourself on a budget. This can involve the entire family. I like to involve my kids in this because obviously it affects them and their spending and my spending. But interestingly enough, and really sad to say, only 5% of the people out there actually have a budget, which is really, really dismal. And so the important thing to note is that 95% of the most successful people in this world have a budget. And what does that tell you?
Be that 5%.
That's right. Be one of the 5%. Absolutely. Number 2 is account for inflation. Now, of course, this is really hard to plan for because you never really know where inflation is going to hit. You never know exactly when inflation is going to hit. However, we do have a tip, right? When the government overspends, inflation tends to happen. So if they're doling out checks everywhere,
inflation's going to happen.
It's going to happen. So even my 13-year-old knows this. But the bottom line there is that don't blame the government for your overspending. Don't blame inflation for your overspending. And more importantly, adjust your behavior. So if you need to adjust your budget because you see things affecting you inflation-wise, then you're going to have to adjust your budget. You're going to have to rein it in a little bit, right? The other thing that I do, and Jacob can account for this because he sees me at the grocery store sometimes, which is that when I need 1 or 2 cans of green beans, because I know that food cost has gone up, what do?
If you have 1, buy 2.
Right. So a lot of times what he'll see me do is buy the family pack or the what do they call it? Like Costco or Sam's has those larger family
like
packs.
Bulk.
Yeah, the bulk items. And I do price it out. Is it really cheaper to buy the bulk items or is it really cheaper to buy them individually? But I tend to buy more than what I actually need at that time, especially when it's items that we need that are on sale, okay? So that's the second item, which is to kind of account for inflation. The third item is your student loans. Now, thank goodness I do not have them anymore. I've paid them off a long time ago. I sort of worked my college education fund a few different ways. Dad was really amazing and he saved up some savings bonds for me when he was in the Air Force. And then what happened was when I got to college itself, I used as much as I could. I was really on a very strict budget as far as using those savings bonds. But what I did was I went to work for an employer who paid for my college. And so there was a certain percentage of my education that was paid for courtesy of Citibank. So, and then I just had to pay for my books and little incremental fees. But the other thing, I did end up having student loans my senior year. So I'm very, very, very blessed in that regard. But do not rely on the government to forgive your student loans. So don't sit there and wait, because we all know what happens when we wait on the government, don't we?
Yep.
Nothing happens, right? So don't wait on the government to forgive your student loans. It is currently in the Supreme Court as of the recording of this video as to its legality in the first place of forgiving any of those student loans. So if you haven't already been paying on your student loans because you're like, well, they're not requiring me to, I highly suggest that you start paying on them. And, they're going to come out of deferment or forbearance at some point in the near future. So I highly suggest you get going on this. Your budget has not included student loans now for almost 3 years, my friends. That is a long time to be gone from your budget. So I highly recommend you get in the habit now. New year, new habits. The other thing is number 4, to pay off your debt. Now, he has heard me talk about the snowball method many, many times before. It is very, very simple. And that is you take your smallest credit cards, you pay those off, whatever that minimum payment was on that small credit card. Let's say it's $25. Now you apply that $25 to your next highest credit card. And so now instead of making a $50 minimum payment to the next highest credit card, you're making a $75 payment to the next highest credit card. And then when that's paid off, guess what you do with that $75? Now you apply it to the next card. And eventually you're going to have all of your debt paid off that way. And the snowball method is just one of my favorites. There is a quote that I've heard before, which is no debt, less stress. He forgot it.
Oh, the less stress part.
Yes, no debt, less stress. And it is the snowball method. The reason why it's actually works so incredibly well for people, it's a psychological effect, meaning that when you get rid of that one balance on that Capital One card or that Citi card or whatever it is, that Chase card you have, and it's gone and it's a zero balance now, or very, very small balance because all you do is charge a coffee on it, there's something psychological about not having that debt anymore. And so by getting rid of and using the snowball effect to get rid of all the big debts that you have, it's a very freeing feeling. Spoken from someone who used the snowball method myself. So I speak from experience. The 5th item, and this one drives me nuts because I see it all the time, is a don't fall for the buy now, pay later. You can tell he's still on his holiday vacation right now because he's sleepy, staying up late, gaming.
Yes.
But don't fall for the buy now, pay later. So this is very easy to fall for. And the reason is because it's just so easy to, you see a website and it says, hey, with Affirm or with whatever the company name is, you can make 4 installments and don't have to pay for it right now. The problem with that is that if you start looking at all of your buy now, pay later monthly payments, it can rack up very, very quickly. So I highly encourage you to avoid the buy now, pay later, I'm going to call it scam, because it can really wreak havoc on your budget. And an interesting stat is that the increase in 2022 of people who used the buy now, pay later was an increase of 56%. That's a huge increase of people that are now doing buy now, pay later. And
not very smart.
Not very smart. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I think this kid needs an afternoon coffee here soon. Now, number 6 on our list of how to make your 2023 financial future that much better is to watch your online spending, which of course typically means what site?
Amazon.
That's right, because that's where most of us buy from. As evidenced by the Amazon delivery driver who frequents the street quite often around here, right?
Yes. Almost every day.
Oh, pretty much. Yes, exactly. So one of the things that I do, I actually have 2 tricks to my Amazon spending. And one of them is, what do I do when I have things added to my cart? What do I do?
Wait 2 days or a day.
Right.
2.
Before I hit order. And the reason I do this is because I'm trying to determine, do I really need that item? Or is this more of a want that is in my budget for another time? Or is it something that I need now and it is in my budget to spend for? And so that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do, which Jacob is not aware of, and that is that I have one credit card that all of my Amazon or my online shopping really goes to. And I do this for a couple of reasons. First of all, online security is very important to me, so I never, ever, ever use my debit card. But the second thing with the credit card that I use is all of my charges always go to that card. So it's an awesome security blanket. But number 2, the reason why I like using this one credit card the way I do is because I have a threshold limit on this Chase card I have. So when my threshold hits $500, I know I get a text message and it says, hey, you've hit your threshold limit on your credit card, you might want to stop spending. Of course, they don't say that because they want you to spend. But anyway, that's just a really good tip when you're doing online shopping.
Yeah, they want you to spend as much as you can.
As much as possible. Number 7 is to start your emergency fund. Now, everyone's emergency fund should be funded up to $1,000. That's your very first start. You're killing me, Smalls, with your yawning. Everyone's emergency fund should start with $1,000. So, work your way up to getting that $1,000 in there, and then you start paying off debt. Okay, because I don't ever want you to use your credit card as your emergency fund. Credit cards are not for that purpose, okay? But get your $1,000 saved up, then start working on your credit card debt. But the emergency fund, once you have your $1,000 down, and then you've got your monies on your credit card starting to get paid down, you want to start accumulating 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses into your emergency fund. Okay, now, why would you have 3 months versus 6 months? Well, it depends on what your income source is. So for example, if you're on commission, you're probably going to want to err on the side of more months, of 6 months. If you're on a salary that is in a job that doesn't really experience a lot of cutbacks, then you would probably want to err on the side of 3 months. So just kind of use your own discretion on that one, but you definitely need to establish an emergency fund because their emergencies happen, unfortunately.
It's important.
Yep. Now, the 8th one Jacob is very, very familiar with, and that is to keep investing. Even though the stock market ended 2022 on a dismal, horrible year, what were you still doing?
Investing.
Now, he doesn't invest a lot because he's on a small budget.
$10, $5 mostly at a time, maybe 20.
Yeah. And so what we do is part of his allowance goes into his account, which is where?
Stash.
At Stash. And the reason why we chose Stash, not sponsored, but the reason why we chose Stash was because they allow incremental stock purchases. So Jacob can buy $5 of Microsoft or $5 of Kellogg's or $5 of Amazon or whatever it is that he wants to do, because you don't have to have the $100 that it takes to buy the share of Amazon at a time. So it's really nice because you could do incremental stock purchases. So keep investing. It's called dollar cost averaging. This is something that I learned about in college. And basically what happens is that if you bought a share of Amazon when it was $150 a share, and now it's $100 a share, well, you're buying it now at 100. And so when it goes back up to 150, you've actually averaged out your price and of your value of your stock. And so as it keeps going up, you're actually going to experience further gains. So dollar cost averaging is really, really important, especially when you're investing for the long term, which quite frankly, most of us are. I mean, are you investing for the long term?
Yeah, I'm keeping the stock for a while.
For a while, yes, exactly. Because we've already got his whole financial plan mapped out for his adult life. So we've really been talking about this a lot since he was about 10.
Yeah.
And so that's just keep investing. Number 9, which is a big one. And Dave Ramsey said it best. He said, don't sit around waiting to buy a house. Okay. And so if you follow Dave Ramsey, which I'm an avid follower and have been for years, of his, most of his philosophies, I don't agree with everything, but most of his philosophies is don't sit around and wait to buy a house. Why? Because opportunity is now. It is leaning towards a buyer's market. In some places it already is. It depends on where you are in the United States as to whether it is a buyer's market or not. But in most places, you're going to see some deals on the table. You're going to see sellers paying closing costs. Now, sometimes people are freaking out a little bit about, oh my gosh, the price reductions. Keep in mind that a lot of those price reductions are because the sellers set their price too high in the first place. And they still had this mindset of, it's the hot market of 2020 or 2021. And so don't sit around and wait. I mean, it is the wonderful opportunity right now to buy a house. And keep in mind also that those of you that are looking to buy a house typically are not buying a house for a year or two. This is a long-term investment in real estate too. And you need a place to call home, right?
To put
a roof over your head. And so when it comes to this, it is a great time to buy because you're going to recover from any sort of small adjustments that you're going to see. Number 10 And this one I can speak from experience when I'm dealing with clients, and that is that you should have joint bank accounts if you're married. You should have conversations about your budget. You should have conversations about your spending. You should limit how much you and your spouse can spend without consulting with the other one. And I didn't say ask for permission. It's just consulting, right? Having a conversation. Do we really need this?
Communication.
Exactly. High five. I love that. So have joint accounts. It helps you keep your each other accountable to your budget. And here's the other thing. Don't have hidden debt. I say this because I see this on a regular basis, unfortunately, and I hate to see when someone has hidden debt from their spouse. I see it far too often. So don't do that either. Number 11, you need to start being my third hand, is to understand the goal for your money. What is the goal for your savings? What is the goal for your money? What are you trying to accomplish here? Are you trying to build up your children's college funds? Are you trying to build up your retirement funds? Are you trying to take a fabulous senior year vacation with your children right before they get ready to graduate from high school or college? Are you trying to plan for retirement, or maybe buy a bigger home, or maybe buy some property? Think about where the whys are, because that end in mind really, really does help with your goals. 12, I need my 2 fingers, please. 12 is meal plan. I love meal planning. It does save quite a bit of money.
So you don't go out to eat.
So you don't go out to eat as much. And I will tell you that I actually think it's really fun, because we as a family discuss what are we going to have for dinner that night or that week, and then we plan it out. We plan our grocery store trips that way, and it really has saved a lot of money on a weekly basis. So definitely consider meal planning. And if you want to know where to get some resources for meal planning, they're all over Pinterest, my friends. So check it out.
Plus, then you get good at cooking.
That's true. You do.
Yeah.
I got a lot better at cooking as a result of COVID. And
she seasons her chicken.
I season my chicken now. I love it.
That's a proud son moment.
Number 13. Give me 3. 3. Yeah, 3. Okay, so watch your subscriptions. This is so incredibly easy to do. You can check your credit card statements, but watch your subscriptions. Eliminate that which is not needed. So like PlayStation, Xbox, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all these things that you may have that you don't need all of them, you could save yourself 20, 40, 60, 80 bucks easy just by analyzing some of your subscriptions and eliminating the duplications that you may not even be using.
And make sure you don't have multiple accounts that you're paying for.
Oh my gosh, that is a great suggestion.
Yeah, I've seen people have 3 Netflix accounts and they're paying for each one of them.
Silly. Don't do that. Don't do that. 14. Give me 4. Give me 4. Okay. 14 is look at your expenses, such as car insurance, home insurance, cell phone bills, things like that are things that just kind of get automatically paid every single month that can save you a ton of money if you really analyze them. Shop out your car insurance, shop out your home insurance, shop out your cell phones. Talk to the provider about your bills and see if there's anything that you can do about them. It's really important for you to watch those things. And more importantly, most people don't know that even if you're not at the end of your homeowner's insurance period, like I just analyzed mine 2 weeks ago, even if you're not at the end of your homeowner's insurance period, does not mean you can't cancel and start new, because you may have been able to find a better deal somewhere else. And insurance rates lately have been going up quite a bit due to a lot of the natural disasters that have happened throughout the United States. So definitely watch car insurance, home insurance, and your cell phone bills. Now, I actually said 15, and then as we were talking, I thought of the 16th item. So I'm going to throw that in at the end. But the 15th item is when rates come down, refinance your home, refinance your car. Now, typically, when you're looking at refinancing a home, you're looking for at least a 1 percentage point better interest rate. And on a car, it's going to be more than that. But just analyze it. You know, you don't want to just refinance something for 20 bucks a month. That's not worth the cost involved or the time that it takes to do that. But of course, if you have questions about refinancing, I will always answer you very truthfully as to whether it's not something I would do or recommend to my family itself. So, and then the 16th thing that I just added is that it is very important that if you're in a state that has a homestead exemption, a disability exemption, a over 65 exemption, anything like that, an ag exemption that can save you money on property taxes, it is incredibly important for you to go to your county tax assessor's office website or in person to the office and verify whether or not you have every exemption that you qualify for on that real estate. Because here's why. If you don't take advantage of the exemptions, the county is not going to give them to you automatically, and you're going to be spending too much money on your taxes, or more money than you should. So I hope that all 16 of these, I feel like I'm winded now, will help you in 2023. I know that, like we had talked about our finances before with Jacob and my older son and my husband, and it's just really important to have a budget. It's really important to watch your finances. Things can get out of control very, very easily if you're not careful. And we hope that these 16 items have helped you in your financial future for 2023. Keep watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, because we'll have more for you soon enough.